Okay, so in the previous, I got it right there.
Yeah, I think so. I was just to make sure.
Okay. In the previous class, we read the beginning of Ois Vav in Torah Beis, look at the Moharan. Tzarech al Adam, Tzarech alecha lechavim b'tefillah, that everybody needs to intend in their prayers. And when we say prayers in this Torah, we're talking about the prayer of Mashiach. We're learning about the way that Mashiach prays that makes him different, and how we can get some portion of that, how we can incorporate the techniques of Mashiach into our prayers to whatever extent we can do so. And so when we're attempting to pray in this way, we need to intend She'ikasher Atma the Tzadikim Shabbadur, to connect ourselves to the Tzadikim who are present in our times. Ki kol tzai, why should we do that? Ki means that we just asked the question. Kol tzadik Shabbadur hu b'chinas Moshe Mashiach. Because every tzaddik in the generation has a portion of Moshe Rabbeinu, who brought the Torah down from Har Sinai for the very first time that it was in the physical world, and Mashiach, who will bring about the ultimate salvation. And we can understand to some extent from this Torah how Mashiach is going about that in his modality of prayer that changes the emotions that are sent to people. I said before that most of our prayers kind of shuffle around the parts of things that are already in the world. And if there's shefa, if there's good stuff that went to bad people, then the prayers move it over to good people. But then it can always be taken back. So what Mashiach does that's different, that he sends down new hashpah into the world with his prayers. Meaning that the emotion, we're currently getting a stream of emotions sort of all the time. It's like we subscribe to something, and we're not exactly sure when we subscribed, and we get these emails and these bills, and subscribe. We can't cancel the subscription, so what are we going to do? We can at least improve it and customize it, so we get better emotions, and Mashiach's prayers affect that everybody gets better emotions. But we asked the question last time, we've been trying to pray like Mashiach this whole time, so is that not in and of itself a connecting of our prayers with Mashiach? What is this additional step that Rabbi Nachman is proposing? And we didn't answer that question last time. But we did answer the question of, well, why is it needed? What's still different about our prayers from Mashiach's prayers? We discussed the idea that in this modality of prayer that Mashiach utilizes, there is a slaying of the primordial serpent. But what that refers to between a regular guy and Mashiach Tzidkenu is not exactly the same thing. And in order to get to this place where we're physically helping other people and bringing novelty into the world through our prayers, we have to reach a certain level first. Reach the city of Mishpat, from which all the emotions are sent, and then we can, with our other avodas incorporated with our prayer, with the way that we learn Halacha, we can influence people's emotions for the better from that place. But Mashiach, he slays not only the personal primordial serpent. The personal primordial serpent is what was stopping us from getting to that level of mishpat. So for us, it's once we reach a level, then it turns on. But Mashiach, the whole time Mashiach's doing the self-help work that gets up to this level of mishpat, at which the rest of us then begin to be able to help other people with their prayers, Mashiach's been helping other people the whole time. Because Mashiach, on his path up to Mishpat, is slaying the general serpent. So any benefit that Mashiach gets in terms of his emotional control and usage of his emotions, everybody who's connected to him, which is everybody, that's what Mashiach is. He's connected to everybody. They all benefit from that. And the reason for this is because Mashiach's soul is connected with everybody else's soul. So if it seems like that's a unique factor about Mashiach, so maybe only the people in my soul connection circle I can get that benefit with. So, or maybe there's a way to expand that soul connection circle, which would make my prayers seemingly more like those of Mashiach. And not only once I reach Mishpat, I'm helping other people, but actually on the way up, then my self-help work is not only that. So, first of all, where does Rabbi Nachman get this idea that every tzaddik is Bechinas Moshe Mashiach? And also, we've been talking about Mashiach. Where is it? He's bringing Moshe into the picture. Where did this come from? So, Rabbi Nachman has a source, of course, for this. Everything he says has a source. We find that tzaddikim, we're going to bring an example from the Gemara in a second, call each other Moshe. Like we call each other Rabbeinu or we call each other Gever, or we say bro or something. So tzaddikim say Moshe. Like Moshe shaper ka'amrat. Like it says in the Gemara, Amalei Rav Safra the Rava Moshe shaper ka'amrat. Rav Safra calls his peer and someone that he respected immensely, he considers to be the greatest of his generation, Rava, he calls him Moshe. I said, why did he do that? So, we're going to read from a commentary on that Gemara that explains this idea of why tzaddikim call each other Moshe. And this will, Lemafreya, answer our other questions. So he says in Biyaris Tavash, Kevar Perishu B'Masha Amru Moshe Shaper Kamrat Ki Talmidei Chacham Mikal Nikraim Moshe. So we know that there's some connection of the Talmidei Chachamim all are called Moshe, especially more so than anybody else. So already there's a little bit of a question. Because didn't we say Mashiach's soul is connected to everybody, so why don't we go around calling everybody Moshe? Why specifically Talmidei Chachamim? We have a certain premise in the Gemara in Tainis. It says the Yaakov Avinu never died. In the Zohar and Bereshis, it said the Moshe Rabbeinu never died. This is a famous idea that tzaddikim don't really die, not in the way that we think of dying. And so, what's the difference exactly? Hayinu, how do they not die? Ki nishmasam v'nafsham loy nistaku l'mayla. They leave a part of themselves behind in the world. To understand this concept a little bit, it's brought in the Likkutei Halacha. There it is. So why is Moshe like Mashiach? Because he Moshe Musar nafshay ba'ad Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu had Mesiras Nefesh. He had an incredible self-sacrifice for the nation of Israel. He would do so much for them that it would come at great personal expense. Like for example, fasting for 100 days, 120 days on the mountain. He even mentioned that he fasted. I didn't need bread or drink water, he says. He's pointing out to them that his Mesiras Nefesh. So perhaps another parish on Mesiras Nefesh that we can talk about here with regard to tzaddikim is that when they go to heaven, they don't fully go to heaven. They don't accept, I'm just going to heaven now, bye guys. No, they leave a piece of themselves in the world. They connect their soul with the souls of everybody who's still alive in the world in a pashut way in order to help and protect those people. To understand the benefit of this a little bit, we can use a mashal. Say there was a very wealthy person who had a number of houses, and they bought a few more houses because they're rich and they can do that. And they thought, you know what, this house I have in this one, I don't really use it so much. You know what, I think you can have it. 100%, it's yours now. That's like, I don't think most of us can imagine a Gashmias blessing much better than that, right? Even a house that I buy myself, it wouldn't be as nice as this rich guy's house he's giving me. So, not to mention a soul. Can't even imagine what that would be like to get a new soul. We're used to the souls we have. And we can't imagine also how so much of the merit that whatever we achieve there is because in this world, in this time, is because of the tzaddikim that have passed away and left behind for us an entire section of a soul that we now have access to. But seemingly that has nothing to do particularly with Talmidei Chachamim. Saying here that when tzaddikim in general, when they pass away, they leave their soul for us to benefit from. U'biyichud Moshe, but something's different about the way the Moshe connects his soul versus how the way that most tzaddikim do it. Nishmasoi v'nafshoi tamid niksheres im chachmei hador. He connects his soul specifically with the greatest of the generation. He doesn't leave it sort of hefker for everyone. It's specifically the greatest of the generation are the ones who get Moshe Rabbeinu's soul, get to move into Moshe Rabbeinu's house. So we might look at that from where we're currently holding with our understanding of the sugya and say, well, I thought the point was to benefit everybody. What is this elitism that it's only the other tzaddikim get access to his soul, the greatest of the generation? there is another answer. There is another explanation for Moshe's actions. But first we need to revisit a conversation from before about when we get to the land of Mishpat with our prayers, with our carefully scheduled and emotionally potent prayers, we can, by doing these, basically those two things, access this level of Mishpat. And then when we learn Tzedakah, when we learn rather Halacha, the reason that we're learning Halacha is not so we go around judging people, not so we sound smart, but it's specifically so that we can go into Mishpat and become a Dayan, become a judge in Mishpat, and start to sort of set things straight there. Now, when we, so with regard to judging, there's this idea that we're supposed to be down the Chatzchus. So it's a little bit of a kasha to say the reason I'm learning Halacha is not to judge others. But you're telling me I have to judge others favorably, so it sounds like I do have to judge others. So, if we have the attitude that not judging others means I'm just not going to think about it, and I'm just going to connect my soul with everybody, whether they're deserving, I'm going to make no action to qualify them, which seems to be the nicest thing to do. The issue is, if we don't make any effort at qualifying those that we connect our souls to, then there's pitach and pay to the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara has something to say. You can say, oh, I see, you're connecting your soul with everyone. That's very nice. But what about that guy? That particular guy who does that one thing. And the thing is, we can respond with, look, I'm not being discriminating here. I'm connecting my soul with everybody.